Harp and the Lyre, Book 2, Extraction. The powerful revivers are sweeping climate-critical Earth Rishona with their restoration plan. Yet, while the presence of Law 3 and Lyre is dominating, the Time 3 voice of Harp is still calling. Welcome to the land of dreams.
The limelight isn't quite what you thought it would be. It's not all sugar, milk, and honey. Sugar, milk, and honey.
Nash returned Harp to its pearl case and pushed it to the bottom of his pocket. The song got him thinking about going to Eleh and playing at Eleh Arena, the greatest concert venue in the world. It sounded sweet to him. Welcome to the world of Harp and the Lyre. These novels are a combination of my life, imagination, music, and lyrics. And they're in a planned trilogy, or perhaps a series, that gives readers a multi-sensory experience of reading and listening through the use of current technology. And yet, as a writer, I also determined that the novels had to stand strong as pure literature, with the song lyrics appearing just as poems for those that don't want to involve technology. Got some words from a character in the book called Edith. The extraction is not like anything you have probably ever heard of. It is different to a timely exit, and it is nothing like the exchange. It is an unofficial, unpublished, unknown, enigmatic escape. But that is all I can say about it right now. The land where dreams are made and dreams come true is where Harp and the Lyre Book 2 begins. Up in the Law Lighthouse in LA, to be specific. LA, spelt E-L-E-H, is the country of places like Icon District, Music Town, Lyre City, Influencer Island, and Movie Town. In Book 1, Exposed, it was mostly set in the country of Albeth, but in Book 2, we actually travel a little bit beyond. We go to the continent of North Dan and go even further afield on Earth Rishona. And we don't just travel by plane. Book 2 is set over 7 days, from day 8 to 14, and it speaks a lot about ambition, identity, and the pursuit of knowledge. And we continue the stories of 5 Albethian teens. Now, these 5 young people are experiencing dramatic changes in their world. Dreams, schemes, hopes, and fears connect them all, but a confronting truth could divide them. There is a lot of action packed into Book 2. Beat the bands at Babel Mall, a Land of Shield gaming LAN, the Raveyard dungeon rescue, friendship breakdowns, idle intrigue, Lyre buddies drama, time shifting at Sundial Gardens, trips overseas, hiding away, preternatural phenomena known as holevs, life-changing decisions, and a mysterious final event. As music plays quite a part in the story, I've asked an English student at Waikato University who's well versed in all things literature and also a musician herself to do a reading. So please come on up. You're on Team Ezra, right? Okay, so for those that have not read the book, we'll just fill you in that Viona Waite has a few friend/potentially more than a friend boys in her life, which keeps things very interesting. And I've heard of readers referring to themselves as being on Team Nash, Team Owen, some are on Team Ezra. All right, I'll leave you to jump into a scene with the bright young trad Ezra, who's sitting at a piano in Novel Uni's music room.
Viona softly said, "It doesn't have to be perfect, Ezra. Music isn't about perfection." Fervently and fluently, the trad set off playing the piece with an equal amount of gusto and gentleness, conflict and concordance, unpredictability and uniformity. If Viona had been moved the first time she heard his recording of Sonata Luna on Wednesday, the second time, played live on the expensive instrument, was moving her to new levels. The beauty of the music transported Viona through tears to joy, to pain, to longing, to something far greater than herself, and to something beyond their world. There was something in the way Ezra played that song totally by heart for her, something grander than the piano, something larger than life, something that no words or melody could ever explain.
The mystery of music and how it affects us individually. I suppose that's why having an auditory element to the Harp series just gives it another dimension. And speaking of which, since our last book talk, I have actually had an audiobook made for book 1. So I thought I would play a little snippet from our British voice actor from chapter 14 of Exposed book 1.
And found herself putting the harp in her own ears.
She's been spending all day fretting about what to wear. How much makeup do you use? How to style her hair? She looks at the clock. He'll arrive any minute. Then her heart stops. There's a knock at the door.
The shock of an actual knock on their front door at that moment caused Rithina to immediately take the earbuds out. Viona, in a sudden frantic state, ended her phone call abruptly and ran into the bathroom to inspect her face in the close-up mirror for the millionth time. "He's here," she whispered, breathing heavily and feeling extremely nervous.
So that song, So Beautiful, which was written many, many years before the book, it fitted into the story perfectly. It required no lyric rewrites, just a bit of chopping up into parts to build the tension of that scene. But for many of the other songs, especially in book 2, I did have to change quite a few lyrics to mold them to the narrative or to bring them into Harp's fantasy realm. For those that don't know the book, Harp is a device that you can listen to music on, earbuds, and Lyre is the tech giant in their world, and Lyre buddies are the cool new device that everybody wants, especially the young people. Now for a song that Liberty Clarkford gets to hear on harp after social sciences class in book 2. This is called A Lyre of Lore.
Don't be fooled by the games that they play and the sweet promises that they make. They'll try to trick you into slavery while you believe you work for love and peace. Freedom always comes at a cost, and free will can make a good man lost. Let's admit it, we're all falling quite a lot, going down but never looking up. I'm battling, we don't bat an eyelash, and there's a lyre of lore in the dark, with a band of little following hearts, building an army, cloning the harp. Hope she don't lead you down the garden paths. Where there's a will, there's a way, and the truth will come out one day. That is the only thing that keeps me living.
It's a bit of an intense song, that one. But it shows the tension and the conflict on Earth Rishona, mostly between Time 3 and Law 3, and Harp and the Lyre. Right, it's time for another reading.
I tell you, these ones being born in Albert will have a purpose, a great purpose, for the greater good. For I predict that this generation of Albethian children will come the one so driven, so competitive, so hungry for the success of the revivers. And their commitment to us and our charitable work will be so magnificent, so great, and so helpful. As Alan Aldwin, the father of academia in Albeth, once said, "A time is coming when Liberty, our beacon of education, will be the greatest resource for Earth Rishona. We will need her to survive." Mr. Holt stopped the video. There was a stunned silence in the room as the students tried to process everything. "Well, then, who wants to save the world?" he asked. "Which of you will be the one, the brightest mind of tomorrow?"
Yes, themes relating to education and public policy are woven through the books, particularly with their International Reviver Society, who are promising to heal their climate-corrupt Earth Rishona. A fun fact about constructing the governmental landscape of Harp and the Lyre. In their original non-fantasy manuscript written many years before, I wrote a random social sciences scene basically all about the Declaration of Independence. I suppose this was heavily inspired by my trip to Washington, D.C. in 2018, seeing the Capitol building, other key monuments there, learning about Thomas Jefferson and visiting the Library of Congress, which actually became the inspiration for the Sir Frank Babel Library at Novel Uni in the book. Anyway, I put the scene into my dumping folder as it did not fit with the story at the time. But after a few years, I hunted it out and rewrote it for book 2, turning it into a study of the Reviver's Dependence Declaration document, where students had to write an essay on freedom, governance, and treaties. So there you go, never say never to a deleted scene, because it might just find its way back. And in another instance, I actually pre-wrote a chapter for day 10 of the Harp and the Lyre series before even writing day 2. This was the kissing gate scene, which I was very excited to write, and I couldn't help myself. It stemmed from a song that I'd written when I was 17 years old called Tear Within the Smile, and it was quite a dramatic scene, really fun to write. We're going to test out the QR code songs, the QR code in the paperback, and we're just lining up the camera mode. And then she's clicking the link.
In the land of dreams.
Now we're also going to test it out on the Kindle, which is a great little device for reading ebooks. And we're going to test out a song called In the Clouds. That's sort of how it works. I've been wondering, maybe it's kind of a good incentive, because I know children like to get on the phone, that if they read to the next QR code, they're allowed to ask mum for the phone. Hear the song, keep reading, maybe it will work. So we're going to jump into a scene in book 2, Valentime's coming to us from Sundial Gardens in Novel's Old Town.
You might recall that I enjoy the art of time shifting, so you can leave it all to me. The dual realm being then held a hand out and helped Viona to stand up, right in the centre of the sundial where a shadow now showed 11:21. "Ready to go?" he asked her. "As I'll ever be." "Oh, but you haven't chosen yet, forwards or backwards?" "Surprise me." Valentime stroked his perfectly contoured chin. "How about a bit of both?" She shrugged and smiled at him. "You're the time artist." "All right," said the lively being, spinning around. "Back to day 6 you should go, then forward to day 12. At once Vienna's shadow on the sundial spun backwards hours and hours until it reached last Tuesday, when the words Day 6 suddenly appeared like a 3D hologram in front of her. Next, a vision began playing in a 360 view around her within the invisible picket fence area.
You know, part of the challenge of writing was getting the balance of having words and vocab that would extend young readers, but also keeping it accessible for them. So there's that fine line. It turns out there are a lot of children that are capable of understanding more advanced language, and I discovered there was a need for more general, age-appropriate, higher-level reading books. So I've tried to do this with my contribution to the literary world. I even had to double-check my understanding of a few words to make sure I was using them correctly, and Cambridge Dictionary is one of my very best friends. Now, for anyone who attended the book talk last year, you may recall that characters like Valentime and Gabe and a few others just turned up sort of out of the blue as I was writing. Similar occurrences happened this time around. With book 2, things grew. Things were allowed to grow. The characters list almost doubled, as did the details sheet. and the maps and locations, obviously with LA and Freeland on the continent of North Dan. And I really enjoyed being able to further the main characters' backstories, their inner motives, what drives them. And it was also fun to kind of go back and forth in time to fill in a few gaps and also pick up threads from book one to give a bit more insight into various topics. And it was a very complex yet exciting jigsaw puzzle. Another fact about writing book two, the process was very different to the first book. It was a lot more structured. I did major planning and created a full outline, including where the songs might fit before I even began writing it. I had a much clearer vision of where the story was headed. Overall, it was a very speedy project. 2 months planning, 3 months writing, and another 3 months editing. And it was a real push to reach the deadline of holding the book in my hands before Christmas last year. A tumultuous time of wrangling words, studying sentences, punctuation placement, rigorous rewrites, and endless editing. But it was worth every late night and just staying on it constantly, because here it is. And yes, I did self-publish both these books. All right, it's time for what I call SongReads. Let's hop into a car conversation with Viona and her mother. Did you ever have dreams, Mulberry? Lots of them. What happened? Ruthina burst out laughing. What happened? They all came true, of course. Come on, be real, Mum. Well, life happened, she replied plainly. And those dreams morphed into something else. Do you have any regrets? The woman looked out the car window and saw her 47 years of life in one long, beautiful, crazy, adventurous, heart-rending, wonderful, painful, marvelous snapshot which reflected back at her, and with every fibre of her being, she answered, none. I'll never forget being too young to drive. I'd rely on somebody else to give me a ride. Funny how at the time didn't know what it'd be like to have keys of independence and a limitless life. The steering wheel will take me where I've always wanted to go. Feels like I'm driving for the first time in my life. We are heading to the land of dreams once again. This scene is with a muso, a wannabe actress, and their rather cynical driver.
So, young Albethians, how has your day in the lucent land of delightful dreams gone thus far? It has gone, Nash replied, pushing his hair back and then regretting it when he felt the gooey hair gel on his fingers. Gone by quickly, that is. Teddy grinned. Yes, time does fly when you're not having fun. What makes you think we didn't have fun? Liberty inquired, not knowing whether to take the man's words seriously or not. Oh, no one really has fun in LA. They just pretend to. You know, it's called acting. The girl was getting angry with the driver's pessimistic attitude. How dare you say that, she cried. I'll have you know that I was here for an acting audition and I had a fantabulous day. And I didn't just pretend to have fun. I'll pretend that I believe you, Teddy quipped, driving up to the Lyre HQ entrance.
Yes, like many, I do enjoy funny books, and I did try to incorporate a bit more humour into book two, taking some inspiration from P.G. Wodehouse, Jerome K. Jerome, and Michael Bond. They're some of my favourites in the kind of funny category. I think it's important to keep things light and fun, especially when there's darker happenings going on. So the sunny LA band trip with lots of boy banter was the perfect contrast to the more woeful story of the hideaways back in Albeth. And also writing from Nash Lovett's point of view has really given me the opportunity to draw from my own experience throughout the music industry. Here's the song that sort of kicked things off for me in those crucial ages of 16 to 19, as I was trying to figure out what my path as a singer-songwriter would be. This one is called Image.
Well, I heard about that girl who went to Eleh. She went there with grand hopes in pursuit of a dream. She wanted to be an actress and she met with a director but got turned down. She needed to lose 10 pounds. Thinner is what they're telling her to be, creating insecurity. Dieting fits perfectly in a global industry that defies reality. We get that old familiar sting when they say image is everything, thing. Image is everything. Image is everything.
That's an oldie.
This is exactly what I was mentioning about if people just want to read the songs as poems. He's going to read a stanza.
Oh boy, you're a man. Since when did you turn into him? So go live your life and make your plans. Go chase your dreams now if you can. I'll leave you in time's hands,
He's going to demonstrate the Apple Books version of Harp and the Lyre Book 2. And we're on an iPad here. He's going to press the button. He's going to do a reading. It's quite an important scene near the end of Book 2. Viona is on the verge of making a choice that could change her life.
With one hand on her heart and the other holding Harp, Viona looked out her bedroom window and thought once more about the appeal that Valentime had made to her at Sundial Gardens. Speak for me and speak for truth. It was all becoming so real and so close, and she got the feeling that whatever decision she made tonight would stand forever. Her life on Rishona or follow truth to chaos, law or time, revivance or radiance, lyre or the harp.
You'll have to read to find out what Viona decides, because both Harp and the Lyre buddies are vying for her attention and hoping to take the top spot in her life. Yes, what we hear, what we read, the music we listen to, there's definitely power in words, and they often cross boundaries of time and space. And for me, I take great comfort in a lot of old literature and writings. From 1678, John Bunyan's classic Pilgrim's Progress, from the 1800s, most of Thomas Hardy's books, especially Far from the Madding Crowd, and even Jude the Obscure, which kind of motivated me to write a lot more about Ezra's love of knowledge and his dogged pursuit of higher education. Then Tolstoy's works like War and Peace and On the Significance of Science and Art. There's some brilliant philosophical ideas in there. And I have to mention George Eliot with Middlemarch and Daniel Deronda. Lastly, some of the writings of science fiction author Frank Herbert. I can really appreciate many of his views on climate and power struggle. On top of that, as a writer looking to grow in the art, I'm often reading history books and searching up quotes from classic authors and researching the origin of words and phrases is all really interesting. Because to quote Ezra Fromer, the past is greatly linked to the future. Words, actions, human nature, history. Maybe it's all connected to our present. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed exploring the Harp and the Lyre series with me today. I've got the trilogy picture there. We've got the gold, we've got the silver, and who knows, maybe we'll enter the Bronze Age for Book 3. I'd like to say a big thank you to the team at Cambridge Library and to all the Harp readers. The way I see it, the story belongs to each and every one of you. It's alive in your imagination, so the world is yours. You see the characters through your own lens, you witness everything in your own way, and you know the landscape of Rishona for yourself. So I'll just leave you to think about that.